Hello my friends, this is the August tour of my garden. I am in southern Ontario, close to Toronto. It's a zone 5 to 6 garden. I'm going to take you on a little tour of my garden. If you have watched my other videos, thank you very much. If you haven't, you can see how the garden started in May, June, and July. Here on my channel, and I encourage you to see how a garden changes throughout the actual seasons. So let me take you through this garden so that you can see some of the pretty things that I think you'll enjoy. So first of all, this is the view that you see right outside of my kitchen, right where we eat our meals. These chairs are from Costco. I found that to be the cheapest place to buy them. The chairs are white and do get stained from the trees and animals that come and perch on them. I wash them frequently, which isn't a problem because in the summertime you find that there's a lot of people that come with white pants or light pants, and knowing that you have clean furniture to sit on them is fantastic. I wouldn't necessarily recommend them for a cottage because you don't want to have to be washing that often. So I would go with maybe like a gray there or one of the other darker colors, but I still love the brightness of the white. This is our second season with them. They look fantastic in the snow as well, so we're quite happy with this purchase. Additionally, the little table there that you see with the copper and the marble, that's from HomeSense. This isn't going to be a tour of all the things I have and where you can get them, but I just wanted to start that off so that you have a sense of, this garden is about 20 years in the making, and it takes time to gather and find the right things that work in your space and at the price that you can afford. So if you are wondering how you can ever get to this stage with your garden, just know that it takes time, and your ideas of what you want over time will change. So I'm just going to take you through the garden so you can see a couple of other things. First off, I'm going to start you off with my herb tower. And this herb tower is one that I repainted. It used to be green and I painted it black so it would match all the other pieces. Up here we have some lemon sage. I love lemon flavored herbs. So you'll notice as I take you through the tower that there's all different types of lemony versions. We have some Italian parsley and some curly parsley. This is a lemon thyme, has a really nice flavor. This is nasturtium. You can eat both the flower and you can eat the leaf. They go wonderful in salads. I've cut these back about 4 times already. The leaves get smaller as the season progresses from all the cutting, but that's okay. That way you still get continuous blooming. I also have some lemon tarragon and lemon balm. Lemon balm is wonderful in water. You can just take the leaves and put them in a pitcher of water and it gives a nice lemony essence to it. The oils make a really nice smell and a nice flavor. This is rosemary. This is micro basil, and I'll take you through how we use that in a moment or two. I also have a different type of basil, and this is mojito mint, which is a lovely, lovely, nice mint that goes well in a lot of food. Baskets are doing great. This is where I often come and drink my coffee in the morning, even though the chairs are right behind me. I often find I like to just perch on a step here and sort of get as down to the level of the earth as I can to just really take in the garden. Gardening is one of those things that brings me tremendous joy, and whether you are a gardener or a garden appreciator, spending time in gardens are really good for depression, anxiety, calmness, and really just overall mindfulness. It's very calming and it just allows you to appreciate all the beauty that's out here. See, I have begonias, and as I take you through the garden, you'll see that there's a lot of repetition of plants. There's two reasons for that. Repetition, the eye loves repetition. It loves seeing things over and over again. It feels familiar and it's comforting. The other reason is that certain things do well in my garden. They either find their way into spots like this Rudbeckia. I didn't plant that. Both of those are little gifts from nature that have reseeded, and so it loves it in this area, as well as a lot of the hostas just love finding their way in places I didn't plant. This is a really nice, cute little succulent arrangement. It started because I wanted to see what I could do to revive my aloe plant that had become long and leggy. You can see I have a couple little friends. Excuse me. I have some friends that are eating this, so I'll have to find a non-chemical pesticide to see what I can do to fix that before I bring them inside. So I'm gonna take you down here to the side. I wanted to really talk about hostas for a second. Hostas are such a beautiful plant. They have lots of variety, lots of different colors. As you can see as we walk along here, they also have different bloom times. So don't just think of hostas as a green item for your garden. Think of the actual flowers that they can contribute. And as you can see, ignore the weeds, but you can see it's beautiful to see all of these really nice little flowers that they're offering. And they come at different times, different colors, different shapes, and they can really be a nice asset to your garden. Here's all the really cute little arrangements. And you just love the way that the water sits in the middle of a succulent like that. That's a true succulent. You can see this one's becoming a little leggy, so he'll probably have to be replanted. Look at the size of this one here. It's gorgeous, eh? It's like even bigger than my hand. And how fat and juicy that guy is. It's a little frog. This one, I tried to divide it. It's a double. But it won't divide. So it's just going to stay there looking really cool. So this is some Creeping Jenny and some Coleus and some dollar store yellow flowers. Sometimes there's areas in your yard where you just can't get things to grow, so you have to supplement with silk items. I love the way that the Creeping Jenny cascades down and the impatiens are filling the overall urn. It's a really lovely combination of simplicity and yet gorgeousness as you see this as you come around the corner. So I'll just take you back here again. I'm going to take you up. These are geraniums on either side of that fountain. I ran out of fertilizer. When you buy fertilizer and you want things to bloom, you want the fertilizer number in the middle to be high to get blooms. This is strawberry pot. Strawberry pots often are very dry and hard to grow anything, so I have found the most success with strawberry pots by planting hens and chicks and succulents in them. You can see they do quite well. We get the focus. Look how pretty it all cascades down. And below it, I have more of the same arrangements. Again, seeing the repetition of items. And here's more of that micro basil. This one's been cut back around 4 times. Whenever you see these flowers, you want to make sure that you're snipping them off because that's when it's going to go pungent and not as lovely and sweet tasting. You'll want to do that on the big ones as well up here. I've cut that one back around 4 times as well. These ones are more pungent, and these ones here have this lovely, delicate, sweet flavor. One of the ways I really like to use them is to do a layer of a sliced tomato, then I put some lemon cashew cream cheese, and then I add in a date that I have quartered. I drizzle some balsamic vinegar on the top and then sprinkle some of this micro basil and salt and pepper on it, and it is a culinary delight that will impress yourself and your friends. So I'd highly recommend trying that and growing micro basil next year if you aren't doing it. Okay, so I'm going to just take you down. This project is, this garden is all about my husband and I working together as a team, and over the years my kids helping. So it is something that we personally do. We don't have gardeners, we are the gardeners. The fern in this particular arrangement was, if you recall in one of the earlier videos, I mentioned that I cut the ones that I purchased into 4 with the saw. So you can see it has filled out. There's always lots of new growth on them. They're quite hardy. And under it, I put some more creeping jenny, and I put some begonias. Also, don't be afraid to actually turn some of your arrangements around occasionally so that they get different sun on them. This is all sweet woodruff. It started with a handful from my mom, and it has spread really nicely. This year, because it's been so wet, it hasn't dried up, and it's really prolific and doing quite lovely. We've had a very wet summer, more rain and overcast than we usually see, and the last 2 weeks were really hot and dry, and the garden really took a beating on that. I had gotten out of the habit of watering frequently, so one thing to always remember with a garden is that you're the caretaker of it, so you need to come back to it. And sometimes things will happen in your life that will take you away from it, and to come back and find the space in your garden where you love being, it will bring you back. It will help you regain your confidence, your cheerfulness, and it'll help you do a much better job in getting through whatever challenge you're going through. And if it's not your garden, go out to a public space, find an opportunity to walk. August is a fantastic time to walk around your garden with a notebook. When you walk around with a notebook, you want to make sure that you address any of the places in your garden that you see need to be fixed or improved. For instance, this iris has a bit of a circular spot in the middle of it. That means it needs to be divided, and quick. So I'll be dividing that and filling in the empty spot that's right beside it. Just a couple of views. There's lots of work that we never got around to doing this year. A couple weeks ago we lost our little pet, our dog, and it was very tragic because he jumped out of my husband's protective arms. He's just a little 4.5-pound guy, and he fell tragically to his death as he chased a cat. And it made me very sad to come out into the garden because all I could think of was that tragedy. And yet, coming back out here now, I just focus on the joy and the love and how much he loved being out here. So sometimes we need to reframe our own consciousness around activities so we can come back out and enjoy things. You can see we have a composter back here. We also have a ton of apples. Our apple tree was very abundant this year. Unfortunately, we don't spray, so most of them have worms. So I have to figure out how to solve that so that in the future we can enjoy the abundance. This was a hydrangea plant that was gifted to me from a random lady on the street, and you can see it's done really well. My dry river here is now the host to future projects, some rocks that were gifted to me from my sister, and I'll need to figure out where I can use them. I used a lot of the small ones in my succulent arrangements, and those ones will have a new space later on in their life. In the August garden, usually this is where you start to see things like sedum, particularly autumn joy, filling in. Its heads start to turn pink. It'll turn more of a rusty color. It's a lovely succulent arrangement. Loved the sun. Did so well. You can see all the apples. We actually have to shovel them with a snow shovel off of the lawn so we can cut it. And we have to be careful because the wasps really like them. Also, this is mentioning back to the keeping a notebook. This is the second year I've tried to put a succulent arrangement here in this particular spot. It seems that the squirrels love eating the succulent arrangements in this particular spot. So next year, we won't be doing succulents. We'll try something else and see what the squirrels don't like, because apparently that's not a good spot for growing things because of the squirrels. More impatiens. Again, lots of repetition of hostas, type of arrangements that we use. See, there's more of the rudbeckia. Take you quickly around to the front. It's my kale. Again, repetition of plants. The tomatoes, we did not get as many blooms on them this year as in previous years just because it was so wet. But those that did bloom did provide us with some beautiful tomatoes. I'm really looking forward to eating those ones. The nursery continues to grow things. I really like the way that portulaca fills in and has a nice structure as it sets up with all the succulents. Look at that. Love the way that water sits on succulents. Here's the little baby nursery. You can see all of them really grown. These two were the exact same size, but the one on the left keeps getting moved. So it has roots, it just hasn't grown as big as the other one. There's some little tiny ones, and look at these guys. So we'll be there for future arrangements. Again, repetition as you come in. This particular arrangement is quite lovely. Black-eyed Susan vine. And if you recall in the earlier video, these blackleaf elderberries, they've grown about 3 feet. I'm quite happy with the way that they've all filled in. Again, August is about different flowers. See that I had a peony there before and a tree peony that came out first, and now here in this time of the year I have autumn joy and the rudbeckia, and soon you'll see things like this beautiful japonica Japanese maple. It will turn color. More autumn joy, beautiful rose that seems to just work like really hard on its own. I don't have to do anything with it. Again, up at the front garden, we have autumn joy. And also, I like to use lots of found things that can create little vistas as you walk around the garden. It's the front of the yard here. I'm just going to take you to the last of the gardens. You can see there's lots of repetition, lots of colors that are used over and over again. We just try to figure out ways that we can make beauty happen and find ways that it can be nice and calm, and everybody can, find ways to relax and enjoy themselves. This is the Tough Stuff Mountain Hydrangea by Cribbin Winters. I love the way the colors have changed over time. It was bright pink and has now gone more of a dusty pink. Hope you enjoy this video. Hope you like the progress of the garden. It's always changing. You'll never quite have the same thing year over year. That's why you need to keep a notebook. That's why you need to figure out what you like, what works in your garden, and what you would like to change in the future. In September, that's the time to start dividing all those plants up so they have enough time to reestablish their roots, but they're not in the middle of growing. So I would highly recommend that you find things that you love to do. Spend the time doing them and find ways to bring joy into your life and find ways to regroup and enjoy nature at its finest. Thanks a lot for watching. Hope you enjoyed this garden tour. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If there's something that you'd like me to spend more time on next time, please let me know and I'd be happy to do that. And if you like these videos and you'd like to get more, subscribe to the channel. I'll try to do an update in September so you have a sense of what the garden looks like once the colors all start to change. Thanks so much for dropping by.